I feel like I need to know more in order to make a decision. But when you ask that about Donald Trump, only a fraction of voters say that they do. And so people know who he is, and yet he's still competitive. You look at these battleground states, they're still 50-50. He's hanging in there.
It'll be tied on election day, as always it will. The polls will be tied, and then he'll lose. That's my prediction. We'll see.
So this is interesting. Bill Maher is now predicting that it is over for Donald Trump. His political career is finished. And where have we heard that one before? Gee, I don't know, every liberal pundit for the past 10 years. But nonetheless, I find this to be a little bit odd because Bill has basically flip-flopped on this continuously. You know, in 2023, he said Biden was the strong favorite to win. And then obviously he said the past couple months, the Democrats are a mess. The party is incompetent. And now all of a sudden he's back to saying it is over for Trump. Nonetheless, let's hear out what he has to say. We'll react to it. So folks, if you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And without further ado, let's take a listen.
I have been called a Trump alarmist for a very long time. They were wrong. I was right. He wasn't going to leave power. Okay. But ever since then, and since the Hollywood Access tape where he said, I'm going to grab him by the pussy, and he survived that. Every time he's been done crazy shit and gotten himself in trouble, I said, no, it's not over. I've said that. I've argued with people. Brett Stevens, my good friend, he's on the show next week. He said at one point a few years ago, the Trump thing. I said, no. Tonight I'm saying, I think it's over. I just want to bring up an analogy to one person. Even before we were around, there was a guy named Joe McCarthy in the early 50s, and he had a hold on America. And it blew out in about 2 years, right? 2-3 years. He was the biggest thing, and then it was just, and I feel like eating the dogs, we're at this point. I feel like we're at the Captain Queeg with the strawberries. We're at Denzel at the end of Training Day. I'm King Kong up here. I just think he's going to lose.
So we'll address his actual arguments there in a second, but I think if you're a Trump supporter, you really can't help but ask yourself, gee, where have I heard and seen this exact story before?
There's not going to be a President Donald Trump. That's not going to happen.
Donald Trump will not become president.
He's not going to be president. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank. Okay. I guarantee it.
All right.
I think if he becomes the president, he'll make it great because the states is already great.
I think that man will be president of the United States right about the time that spaceships come down filled with dinosaurs and red capes.
On that note, Tom,
take it from me. How about that?
Cheers, Tom. Thank you.
And then, of course, there's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Oh, and by the way, there's even an infamous example of this on Bill Maher's own show. Remember this one?
Okay, here we are. And which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones, right now, Donald Trump.
So look, I don't play those clips to just disregard everything that Bill Maher is saying. Transitive property is not necessarily true here, but I think it is worth noting that whenever we hear a pundit say, no, I'm officially predicting it's over, I mean, with a little bit of context, a lot of people have said this. So Bill Maher, whoever it is, I don't care, really not someone who should be taken at face value. But that said, listen to what the guest panelist here responds with.
I do not share your confidence in knowing how this is going to go. I mean, I know people don't think that the polls are very accurate. So setting all of that aside, the reality is that people have known Donald Trump and known who he is for a very long time. And when you ask people, do you need to know more about these candidates? With Kamala Harris, they say yes. Like 3 in 10 people say, I feel like I need to know more in order to make a decision.
Folks, you've heard me complain about how today's media fails to represent the views of the majority of Americans, especially conservatives. They tend to push liberal narratives while sidelining others, creating a massive disconnect with so many Americans. That's why I've partnered with Ground News to show you an easy way to get past all the bias and approach current events with a more balanced perspective. Ground News is an app that gathers news from both left and right-wing sources on the same topic, so that way you can form your own opinion based on every perspective. They even take it a step further with their blind spot feed that exposes the left's selective reporting. It surfaces important stories barely getting attention, like this one on how California lawmakers are passing a bill that could make undocumented immigrants eligible for home loans, which is absolutely insane. Ground News found just over 50 articles covering this, with only 9% of that reporting coming from left-wing sources. Like the LA Times writing that this program would just benefit eligible first-time buyers, including immigrants, quote, in good standing. Nobody knows what that means. While right-leaning National Review points out that this program is severely lacking funding even for U.S. citizens and would exacerbate the state's ongoing housing crunch. With it being an election year, I really think news like this can change the outcome of elections and even the trajectory of this country, but only if you are aware of them in the first place, and I trust Ground News to help out with that. So stay fully informed on the news that can easily become sensationalized by the mainstream media, like the 2024 election, by visiting ground.news/VinceDao. Again, that is ground.news/VinceDao, or scan the QR code on my screen. My viewers save up to 40% on the same Vantage plan that I use for unlimited access to all of their features.
But when you ask that about Donald Trump, only a fraction of voters say that they do. And so people know who he is, and yet he's still competitive. You look at these battleground states, they're still 50-50. He's hanging in there.
It'll be tied on election day, as always it will. The polls will be tied, and then he'll lose. That's my prediction. We'll see. I'm just saying things aren't until they are. Yeah.
Thank God.
Don't you feel better, Al?
So there you have it, and I think that girl there brings up a very strong point, which is Bill Maher's logic is a little funny. It's a little just strange that after everything that Trump has been through, right? He's been convicted of felonies, he got impeached, the classified documents, January 6th, this and that. Oh, and by the way, Trump has said a lot of quote-unquote controversial things throughout the years, obviously. Suddenly now, because of the eating cats and dogs thing during the debate, of all the stuff that would end Donald Trump, that would take him down, that would McCarthy him out of power, it was that. Bill Maher thinks that one line in the debate is going to change the entire election. When again, the American people are already pretty familiar with Trump. They know who he is. I don't think anyone was exactly shocked to hear that cats and dogs statement in the debate. So again, if Bill thinks that his candidate is going to win the election, fair enough. I think it's going to be a close election. You know, people make their predictions, whatever. I just think the logic is a little strange that of all the things that's going to take down Trump, it's going to be that. But with that said, I mean, I guess Bill can use the excuse that like, well, I didn't write off Donald Trump before, but now I'm writing him off. And that's why I have credibility, because I wasn't wrong the past times. And the reason I don't think conservatives should panic when they hear this is, let's have some perspective, right? For years, all the entire time, the media, everyone was saying Trump's going to lose, Trump is screwed, he's over, and then what happens? Trump consistently survives. But the reason some people are kind of shocked is that before Kamala Harris became the candidate just a couple months ago, we saw a media landscape that has been very rare throughout the Trump years, which is the roles were reversed, right? Biden was gonna lose, everyone knew it, the media was totally defeated, they were admitting it, the Democrats just felt totally demoralized. Bill Maher was out there saying, yeah, the election is over, we're screwed. Everyone was saying that because we were in such an exceptional position. But now that Kamala Harris is the candidate, we're basically back to normal, where the Democrats are energized, they believe they have a chance, blah, blah, blah. And so now they're going back to saying the same exact things that they said in 2016 and many times throughout the year. So if you are a Trump supporter, obviously you should not get complacent. It should be a little alarming, I guess, that the opposition believes believes now they have a chance of winning, right? They believe they have something up their sleeve that can deliver them victory. But at the same time, let's not forget, this is what they have always said. This is kind of just a return to normal things in politics. So it is what it is. That said, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new. Check out our friends over at Ground News. And until next time, God bless and peace.